is a good time just to stop and think of those hundreds of people that have given thousands of their own hours of time and often thousands of dollars coming from so many pockets as the community has been forced to be the opposition to this mill. Let's give them an ovation for you yourselves for this continuing fight. We've got one final speaker here this morning. She represents the party, the only political party in this state that has consistently fought, stood up in Parliament and fought this pulp mill at every opportunity and stood up for the people in the People's House. It's Pegg, Putt, leader of the Tasmanian Greens. Greens candidate, and also Andrew Wilkie is trying for the Senate in Tasmania.
Important that I be here with you today when I came up the road from Hobart on the heels of Turnbull's decision. You, the community of Launceston and the Tamar, are the people who would have to live under the shadow of Gunns pulp mill. You rightfully expected and deserved to have a proper say on your range of concerns over this project and to have your views fully taken into account. But you were cut out in the stampede to a political fast track here in Tasmania and by the narrow focus of the federal assessment. This is not good enough, and this gathering says we will not take this lying down. Paul Lennon has the gall to speak about healing divisions, but talks as if these divisions were nothing to do with him. Wrong. Allowing Gunns the easy route, cutting out the community, abandoning the independent RPDC in whom people had faith, and ditching public hearings drove these divisions deep. Because it told us that corporate mates matter more to Paul Lennon, to Labor, and, by the way, to the Tasmanian Liberals, than you, the people. So tainted and inadequate has been the assessment down here that the Chief Scientist's report indulges in hand-washing over the likely impacts of effluent, pointing out that levels of pollutants may accumulate unacceptably in Tasmanian waters, but saying that's not in their brief. Malcolm Turnbull took the opportunity to point out again yesterday that the Lennon government had treated Tasmanians shamefully, saying they had been trampling over due process in an enthusiastic and uncritical rush to get the pulp mill approved. Of course, he was seeking to deflect blame for his own decision, but nonetheless, there was truth in his words. The AMA has warned again about air emissions. These were never adequately assessed, nor baseline health studies done. Forest destruction has been ignored and unassessed, completely unassessed. Water use, log truck traffic, greenhouse gas emissions and more, all left out. The Premier gives the impression that healing the rift relies on all of you swallowing his mistreatment, sitting down and shutting up. The news for Mr. Lennon is everyone here is peaceful, but they are not spineless. The first step to healing is for Paul Lennon to resign. Headlined, taking another bite of the apple isle. Tasmania's future lies in preserving its natural assets. That's correct. This is not an environment versus development debate. It's about what constitutes appropriate development. And that's the clean green industries that have rescued Tasmania from unemployment and economic basket case status. In tourism, agriculture, fisheries, wine and so on, whose interests have been ridden roughshod over. Step 2 to healing is to treat them as well or better than Gunns, who've been showered with taxpayer largesse and special favours. The Turnbull decision gets a fail. It's useless to admit that the toxicity of effluent is unknown, the hydrodynamic modelling incomplete, and dioxin concentrations in the environment an open question, yet give the go-ahead regardless. As for Peter Garrett, what a sellout! Step 3 to healing is to give you back your rights and have a full, thorough, comprehensive and independent assessment. We will not give up, and the Greens are standing with you. We're committed to overcoming this obnoxious development, and in the end, the people will win.
Ladies and gentlemen, there was one Greens member who I didn't mention. It's important that I do, not just because he's my boss. Ladies and gentlemen, our sound man today is a man who was over 10 years ago fighting for his home country up at Mother Cummings. He's now in the Tasmanian Parliament. He's been fighting for Bass against the pulp mill. Kim Booth, ladies and gentlemen.